two. Well, this summer we've been talking with folks whose faith has taken root in particular places, like their work and relationships, and their communities, and in ordinary ways. Today, Connie Cole is joining us to talk about Messiah's Serve Team. Connie's been involved in a number of ministries throughout our community, including Family Promise and Compassion Coalition, an organization that Messiah helped found. Connie, welcome to the table.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Yeah, enjoy it.
Thanks for meeting us. So I thought we might begin kind of broadly today. When you think about serving other people, what makes it feel important to you?
I guess the reason that it feels important to me, and I've talked about this before to other people, I just think that's what we're called to do. We can't just sit in church, as wonderful as that is on Sunday morning, and go out into the world and not feel like you're going to serve other people, because we've been called to serve. We've been called to be the hands and feet of God. And I just feel like that's what we've got to do.
Have you always felt called toward helping others, or is that something that developed and matured over time?
It's grown, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of times when you're younger, you don't really understand the call. But as you get older and you see the world in a different way, then, it comes to the surface.
Was there a person or an experience in your life that you look back to? Like, for me, oftentimes it's my granny. And I think my granny is the example of what a good Christian person should be. And when I think about how I live my life, I oftentimes find myself thinking, would my granny be proud of me for doing this? Was there a granny for you or somebody that you look to?
Well, not really. I grew up in the church, and, my parents were church goers and did serve, maybe not in the same way because of the tradition that they had. But I will tell you, the real reason that I serve is because of the people in this church.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I have seen so many people in this church be so giving and so able to give that that's inspirational.
Yeah, I noticed that about this place. We have just some of the most generous people that I've ever met. And not just, I don't mean financial, I mean financially too, but with their time and their talents in so many ways. And that's a blessing to, as a pastor or just as a human who finds yourself into this place, to walk into a community that is so generously spirited.
Right, I agree.
Sometimes when we talk about service, though, it's almost like we're seeing a problem that needs to be fixed. But I wonder if it begins with you even earlier than that. What helps you truly notice when someone else is struggling?
That's really a hard question, because some people are so private that you don't really know that they're struggling until you kind of hear it from other people. Some people you do know, and you know that they are, through their life experience. And part of it is you have to get to know people's life experiences. That helps you understand where they are and where they want to be. And, that's something that it's kind of hard in a way, because I think I know there are a lot of people that are extroverts that wouldn't be a problem, but just meeting somebody a few times, it's hard sometimes to get into what their needs are, but you got to work at it.
For sure. Are there ways that serving has changed, like what you pay attention to in people and why?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I will say this, that when I have had situations with people who have been lifetime friends, and I don't know whether it's because as they got older, they got more unable to see what's around them, and not exactly selfish, but not willing to do anything for anybody else. It's all about, what can I do for me? What can I do for my family? And I think we're called to be a lot more than that.
Definitely.
When people think about the term community service, you oftentimes think about, look, you're even laughing right now, and I bet folks at home are too. But when you hear the term community service, you oftentimes think of an obligation, right? Like the first thing that comes to my mind are the folks you see on the side of the street with like their orange vest, right?
Court order.
Court order. Or like I used to work in a bank. When I was a member here, I worked for a bank, and we were required by law to go out and do so many hours of community service. What, from your perspective, what makes serving others more than just an obligation? Like you said earlier, we're called to do it. I wonder, like, but I don't think you, Connie, I know you, I don't think you're the person who's like, you know what, I have to do this, and so I'm just going to go do it. So what does that call mean for you? What is
Well,
it like?
selfishly, it makes me feel good.
Okay, same about it. Same
Yeah,
about
I
it.
mean, it's, that's a selfish way to look at it, but it does. It makes me feel good. When I see somebody that I have in some small way helped, it makes me feel good.
What makes it about more than just feeling good about yourself?
What makes it more than feeling good about myself? Well, hopefully, every person in this world that you touch will take away something, good or bad. And I would like for more people to say about me, I felt better after talking to her, or I felt better after this, that, or the other, than just, there's that person.
I think you mentioned it when we were talking the other day. Folks at home don't know that this is actually the second time we've had a conversation like this week.
Yeah.
And that first conversation is what inspired me to ask you to be on the show today. One of the things that you said, though, and you talked about how some of this service work, it's more than just giving something to somebody, it's giving dignity back to them. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about that, like some of the things that you do and how that does affirm the human dignity of people.
I think a lot of people that we see, some of our neighbors that are struggling, have lost a sense of dignity for one reason or another. The system, they don't feel like people listen to them, they don't feel like they're seen, they don't feel like they're heard, and when they are seen, they're not seen in a positive way. So it's important to understand that I think we all want dignity, no matter who we are, no matter what we've been through. We want somebody to recognize us for the person that we are and evaluate us for the person that we are, not for what may be our circumstances at this particular time.
Speaking of dignity, you've been involved with Family Promise, and Family Promise includes like staying overnight with families who've experienced housing insecurity. So for someone who's never really participated, what does that ministry actually look like?
We've been doing this ministry here for about a year and a half, so we're kind of new at this, but what I think that a lot of people don't understand what Family Promise is. And as you say, most of the folks that show up for Family Promise are more often than not a mom and children who have experienced no housing. They're all waiting in some way or another for housing. We've gotten to know these people, spending the night with them, serving them dinner, sitting with them and talking with them, playing with their children, sharing their stories. Just this last week, when we were serving dinner, we talked to a lady, and she was very new to Family Promise. She had twin girls. She has found a job. She's going to be working, but she doesn't have a place to live. And she talked about her journey as far as what she feels like she is called to do. And I think that's wonderful. Here's somebody that we might think, oh, well, she doesn't have really a whole lot going for her.
Yeah, she's
but
just trying to survive.
Yeah, but she talked about, what can I do? I'm looking for something to do. I'm looking for a way to be helpful. One of the other women there has been in Family Promise for a little over a year, and that's kind of unusual. Most of the folks in Family Promise find housing within a year. She's been in there February and then now, but she told us the other night that She was getting a house on August, or an apartment on August the 10th. And
Thanks be to God.
well, we've kind of walked with her the times that we do Family Promise. Family Promise is, it's just trying to give people a safe place for them and their children until they get on better terms, either financially or, housing wise.
Yeah. So you've kind of described what it's like to stay overnight there and share space and time with those families. What would you say would be the big takeaway between doing that and just dropping off supplies or contributing like money or food for you?
I don't know how you get to know the person without actually sitting and having a conversation with them. And while we love the people dropping off food and, money, to really get to know these people as people, because all of their stories are different. It takes a little bit more time to do that, and that is one of the reasons that it really isn't a burden, because you are receiving back from them something that you may not get in your everyday life. I don't normally meet and talk to people like the folks that come to Family Promise.
Yeah. Does being present in that way change your relationship with Jesus?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Because I feel like that's one of the things that Jesus did. I mean, he sought out people that needed somebody to talk to, somebody to be with, somebody to say, hey, you're okay.
Presence is important.
Yes, presence is definitely important.
I imagine there are moments when you become aware that you can't solve everything that a family's facing. How do you understand your role when you can't fix their whole situation?
Well, I feel like that you do what you can, and you do it the best you can. And sometimes it takes more than one time meeting with somebody. Sometimes it takes more than what you are able to give at that particular moment. But at least you have provided just an inch or two of something that might not be there otherwise.
Is there a time that comes to your mind when there was a situation that you couldn't fix? Not necessarily with Family Promise, but just with any of these service ministries.
Oh yeah, I mean we have people that have come here to the church for one reason or another that we have become. I mean, they would come to church, they would come to Sunday school, and then all of a sudden they were gone. And you wonder what happened. Did a good thing happen? And that would be good. Or did something happen that it wasn't good? Because when you have a relationship, I think with anybody, if something happens that is unusual or maybe even unexpected, it sends up kind of a flag. What's going on? Where are they? What's happening to them?
Yeah.
Has there been a moment through Family Promise that stayed with you? And it doesn't necessarily have to be like a super dramatic moment, but something that's helped you understand that ministry differently.
I guess the thing that I have taken away from every single time we've been at Family Promise is how absolutely grateful these people are for what we're doing. They all want to pitch in. They all want to help. They all want to find out about us. It's not just us finding out about them, but they want to find out about us. I mean, I think there's been a relationship, and that's what I like. And a lot of people think, oh, these people why do they need housing? Why do they need food? But once you realize that most of these folks are willing to serve what little, it reminds me of the woman that had the penny and she, in the Bible, and that's what she gave.
Yeah.
Because I have never been to a Family Promise night where the folks that were staying there didn't pitch in, help sweep up after, help do the dishes, help clean up, sit and talk. I mean, it's sort of like kind of like a community in a way, a small community, because, Family Promise is limited to 4 families a week. And so depending on the size of the family, we'll have anywhere from, 4 or 5 people to maybe 12 or 13.
Wow.
So, but they all work together. It's amazing to see the kids play together, they get along, the parents talk to each other. It's just really kind of almost like a small community.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So it sounds like what you're saying, the most impactful thing that we can offer is the assurance that somebody's not carrying this tough stuff alone. I've heard you say relationships several times. That's what ministry is all about, whether it's here in this place or whether it's out in the world, the building relationships. When we think about introducing Jesus to our neighbors, the best way to do that isn't to go out and beat them over the head and say, here are these 10 commandments. It's to simply just to say, here's what Jesus asks of us, and that's that we love one another. And what does that love look like today?
Right.
Absolutely.
Because I do think that we have a lot of times, not this church, but there have been situations where, beating over the head was the premier thing. And, if you don't do X, Y, and Z, you're going to be punished forever and all that. And I don't think that's what Jesus ever meant.
Yeah, I don't either. Obviously, clearly I don't.
Clearly. So Messiah was one of the founding congregations of Compassion Coalition, which is something I got involved with last year too. What does that ministry make possible that we might struggle to do alone?
They have got so many resources, and they have got fingers everywhere. To be a part of Compassion Coalition lets us be able to look at those resources. I mean, we wouldn't have known some of the things that go on. We wouldn't have known where the warming centers are necessarily, which churches have laundry facilities, which churches have food pantries. I mean, and they also, the other thing that's important, they also do things that help people fill out applications for jobs. They are not just trying to put a Band-Aid on it, okay, here's a food basket today, but how can we work with you to better your life?
Right, kind of pull you out of this.
Pull you out of this.
Yeah. So why does partnership matter in serving in a community?
I don't think any of us are meant to do anything alone. Just look at the sad story that the hermits, these hermits that back in the caves and all that stuff, they've kind of taken themselves out of the world. If we're going to be in the world, we're going to be in the world with other people. And when you are in the world with other people, you need to work with other people.
For sure.
Yes.
Churches sometimes can become focused on what goes on inside our walls. What do you think we discover about church and about ourselves when we work alongside other congregations and community partners, whether it be Compassion Coalition or Care Cuts or any of those? What do we gain from that?
Every church and every group have people that know stuff and can do stuff. And if you are connected with them, then you are able to kind of build into that. I don't care how big your church is, I don't care how much money your church has, there's still room for somebody else's ideas along the way. And people have ideas, and most of the time aren't shy about telling you about them.
We don't know that.
What do you mean?
How do you think those partnerships help us to recognize places where God is already at work that might surprise us? Like, have you come across any place where you thought, I wouldn't have expected to see those folks or this place
Exactly.
here?
There are, I guess I guess I'm a little prejudiced about certain things, but I have been interested in looking at the people that are part of Compassion Coalition and Family Promise and Justice Knox, the diversity that this city, when these groups pull together, the diversity. And okay, let's be perfectly honest. Our church isn't all that diverse. And so we we need to hear from people that are different than us
Yeah.
because they've got a lot to bring to the table that we may not even understand or know.
And that's really the beautiful thing about diversity, especially like when we get into worshiping communities or serving communities, is just the variety of gifts that come to the table. And I think about, we're going to be talking about the Tree of Life here coming up this Sunday again, and the 12 kinds of fruits. And I think, isn't that beautiful? 12 means this perfect number often in the Bible, right? And so if the perfect number of fruits is this number of abundance, what does that say about our communities? You know, I love that.
What have you learned about Knoxville through this work that you might not have known otherwise?
What I have learned is that, okay, I'll be honest. I mean, I grew up, I'm a native Knoxvillian. I grew up in Fountain City and then moved west. Both of those two communities are, at least when I grew up, were pretty homogenous. What I have learned in working with some of these other groups is the caring, the ability of people that I don't come across in daily life. And I like that because it gives me a different perspective. Because, you know, sometimes I'll think, oh, well, I've got all the answers, or my answer is the right answer, and look at those people, they don't know what they're doing, kind of thing. And you just have to be brought to the realization that everybody's got something, and if you stop and listen to them, even if at the beginning you may think, that's kind of a weird thing, but usually it works out.
Do you think that there are needs in our community that are easy to overlook?
I'm sure there are. I mean, there are. I think at least what I think has been very interesting, how many people do not realize that just because we're in West Knoxville that we have homeless people.
Yeah.
I've talked to people and they go, really?
It's a conversation I have
Right.
pretty regularly.
Yeah. And when I was a school administrator, we had a pretty diverse school, and we would have to explain to people that the diversity, you know, there's a lot of diversity in West Knoxville. It kind of gets like, oh, you know, they're just over there being their little West Knoxville people. But I think we do. We have a lot of diversity, and I think that we need to recognize it.
One of the Lutheran buzzwords is vocation, and we sometimes talk about that as if it's like it means a career or a particular job. But in the Lutheran tradition, vocation is a much broader subject. It's the way that God calls us to love and to serve our neighbors through the places and the relationships that are already entrusted to us, sort of like what we've been talking about here already. And I wonder, Connie, does that language of vocation and relationships that we've already been entrusted with, does that resonate with you?
I guess I didn't really realize that was a Lutheran buzzword, vocation, because I'll be honest, when I hear the word vocation, I think of job. That's your job. Now, your job can be, you can get paid for your job, or you can just be doing your job. So I really don't know that I've ever really thought very much about vocation as just a way of being.
How long have you been Lutheran now? Did that come along when you and Tom met?
No. I've been a Lutheran since 1972.
Okay, so it's probably just worked on there. Surely you've heard of the priesthood of all believers.
I have heard of that.
See, you just didn't know.
Even the church that I grew up in, that was something that they said.
All right.
Yeah.
See, that's the Lutheran idea of vocation
Yeah.
working its way
Now,
out
they
into the world.
didn't give Martin Luther credit for it.
Of course not.
But they did talk about the priesthood of all believers. As a matter of fact, I had a friend who was complaining to me once about saying the Apostles' Creed.
Oh, okay. Say more about that.
And she said, well, if you believe in the priesthood of all believers, then you don't need to say the Apostles' Creed.
Okay. All right. I'm not sure I agree.
I don't know that I did either.
Do you remember any more of the argument?
I just, Well, I just wanted to, okay, thanks.
You know who would have something to say about that is your husband, Mr. Tom Cole.
You might,
He has
yeah.
shared some of his own thoughts about the Apostles' Creed with me. So I'm
Yeah.
curious what he might have to say.
No, but she did not think that the creed was necessary.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
not that she really thought there was anything wrong with it. It's just that she thought that it didn't really do much.
I suppose it isn't necessary, but it is a good reminder to me
Yeah.
of like where my roots are grounded, where I'm grounded.
I need my Sunday reminding.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. That's the way I feel about communion.
Yeah.
I really need that once a week. Well, most weeks.
Yeah. So Luther insisted that we don't serve in order to like gain God's love. It's
Right.
grace that's already given to us. So service is what starts to flow from that gift. Does that distinction matter to you?
Oh,
That
yeah.
we aren't trying to like prove that we're good people, but responding to the love that we've already received.
Right. You can never serve enough to be good.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't matter what you do. There's no okay. Here's the end of it. You made the cut.
Gold star.
Gold star. You're done. And I do know that there are people who don't see a point in serving others. They either think that it's not necessary or somebody else is going to do it. But I do also think that even though we are not told that we have to do it, I think if we look at what we are asked to do, that serving kind of fits in with that.
Absolutely. How does that change the spirit in which we serve? Because we don't have to.
Yeah, we're not trying to get brownie points.
Right.
We're trying to, we're not trying to be perfect, which is a good thing because we can't.
No.
So I do think it does. It changes it completely. You're not, looking for, if I do X, Y, and Z, then I'm going to get this, which isn't going to work.
Yeah. No works, just love.
Just love.
So sometimes I think people think that like a vocation or a calling has to be something heroic and something big. But most vocations, sort of like what your friend and what you were talking about earlier, most vocations are lived out in ordinary ways, like preparing meals or listening to people or staying overnight or driving somebody to an appointment. What would you say to folks who think that they don't have anything to offer?
Everybody's got something to offer. I was an educator for 39 years, and one of the things that we tried to stress is that every child can learn. It just depends on, they can't all learn the same thing at the same rate, but they all can learn. And I feel the same way about serving. Everybody can serve. You don't have to all serve alike. You don't have to all serve, this many hours, but everybody can do something.
So the question isn't then what extraordinary thing am I capable of? It's who is my neighbor today and what does Christ ask of me?
And what does my neighbor need today? Because my neighbor may need something today and something different tomorrow.
Yeah. So serving others can be beautiful and it can also be really inconvenient. And that points me towards one of my favorite quotes, which is the price of community is inconvenience. What has service asked of you?
Well, if you say you're going to do something, you need to do it. If you see something that needs to be done, again, I'm going to quote another friend of mine who, when I was an assistant principal, we were in a meeting and she said to me, "Don't ever ask any of your staff to do something you're not willing to do yourself."
Yeah.
And she said, "Now you may not do it, but if you needed to be involved, you should." I feel that same way about serving. I'm not going to ask anybody to do something I'm not going to do.
Yeah.
And if I see something that needs to be done, I'm not 100% going to do the best, but I'll try to do the best. But yeah, you just have to be aware.
Yeah.
And that's part of it. I think what we're talking about here, I'm not sure everybody is always aware of all the possibilities to serve. And some require more time and effort, and some don't. And, everybody picks and chooses, but everybody can do something.
Yeah, there's something for everybody.
Yeah.
How do you care for yourself so that service doesn't become something that exhausts you or you don't build up resentment? Like, what's your self-care like to keep yourself going?
Wow, I don't know. Let's see. I like to read. I like to watch television. I like to, I'm not as good doing the athletic stuff as I used to be. Friday night is wine night.
Okay, all right.
That's
I can get into
today.
that.
That's today.
Yeah. Oh, I do have a meditation practice too.
Oh, you do?
I
Super
do.
important.
Yeah.
Okay, I used to, and I've kind of moved away from it over this past year, and I've been thinking lately I need to move back to that. I feel like when I do meditate, when I'm intentional about this creating stillness in myself, like it does give me more to offer to other people. So let me ask, have there been times, or is there a situation that you remember where the person that you were serving gave you something, like more than a headache, but like you were able to receive a gift from that service?
I think, I'm trying to think about, I do remember one time where I guess it was just acknowledging that they appreciated what was going on. Like, you're really helping me today, or you're really making me feel better today. I don't know, is that exactly what you wanted?
I think that's good enough.
Okay.
Because like for me, some of us are just natural helpers, right? Like for me, the thing that like it just makes me feel so good is to know that I was able to make a difference in somebody else's day. And I think it's good enough. Sometimes I think that is enough for me, is to say, you know what, like their day sucked a little bit less because I said hi, or because I picked that thing up, or whatever. And that's enough.
Well, see, I go sometimes, just like this morning at the grocery store. You're at the grocery store and you don't know these people. Although I'm thinking the grocery store kind of serves today as what the town square used to be, because you'll find a little group of people sitting. But you'd be surprised how many times if you just see somebody that looks kind of down, if you just smile at them.
Yeah.
It's almost like, oh, that person smiled at me. Maybe,
Just one more little thing to let them know they're not alone.
Yeah. And you don't have to say anything or stop or anything, just a little smile.
What have people experiencing poverty, housing insecurity, and other difficult circumstances taught you personally?
That we are all, or most of us, I guess there's some people that wouldn't fit in this, but we are all very close to that if circumstances changed. Health crisis or jobs or something happened. And so therefore, it could be any of us. And that's something that I've taken away. That could be me. So why would I want somebody to help me if I were in that situation? Yeah, of course I would. So, yeah.
Have any of your assumptions or feelings in the past been challenged along the way? Like, have you had assumptions in the past about things and then working in service?
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing that I think we maybe had this kind of given to us as something. The impression that I had when I was younger is a lot of the folks that we see that come to church, they're in that situation because of something that they've done, like drugs or alcohol or something like that. I haven't found that at all. Now, I'm not saying that's not happening. I'm just saying that I haven't seen it. And a lot of the people, I've been surprised at how intelligent a lot of the people I've talked to are. They are not, they're not people that are non-intelligent. I mean, they can carry on a good conversation and have a lot to share. Mm-hmm. So I didn't really think about that before.
Yeah. Yeah, it's easy to make assumptions and think that, if someone's unhoused or experiencing difficulty, that they put themselves in that situation, and if they were
What did they
smarter
do?
or if they were able to handle their finances better or make better life decisions, then they wouldn't be there. But sometimes it has zero to do with
Zero
that.
to do with it.
What do you hope the serve team makes possible for our life together as a congregation?
What I would love to see us do via the serve team is to let people in the community know that we're here, that this church is here, that this is what we do here. I do think that there are churches that tend to give us a bad name. I don't mean our church, but tend to give Christians a bad name.
Yeah.
Because they're not doing what they should be doing. They are, like, they're rule oriented, or they don't look at circumstances. It's just black and white. Well, it's not black and white. There's always a gray area. And what I would love for our church to be known as, this is a church that I can go to and feel safe and comfortable.
This is a church where good news actually becomes good news for other people. And that's been my experience when I was here over a decade ago, and now returning to. And I'm starting to realize that that's actually part of the identity of this group. How do we share good news that's actually good news for people who hear it?
Right. What kind of opportunities are available for folks who want to get more involved with the serve team and they really don't know where to begin? Like, what's out there and what's available to them here?
We have got several ministries that are always looking for somebody to help out. Family Promise is pretty easy, actually. We are not a host church. A host church means that the families stay at that church for their week. Let me just kind of explain what Family Promise is. Each church that is involved takes a week at a time, and it's 4 times a year you have a week. And then they have what they call helper churches or sponsor churches, which is what we are with Church of the Good Samaritan on Cedar Bluff Road. We provide a meal and an overnight stay one night out of that week that the families are in Church of the Good Samaritan. But the churches all over town do the same thing. So there are host churches, and then there are churches that help out. 4 times a year, the way I looked at it, that's really not that long. Really, even if you're spending the night, which a lot of people, oh my gosh, I don't want to spend the night. First of all, they've got beds for you, and they'll feed you. And the families come in, we feed them around 6 o'clock. They have till 8 o'clock that they can chit-chat and do whatever. 8 o'clock, the children have to go in the rooms. 10 o'clock is lights out. The people who spend the night get up the next morning between 6 and 6:30, and the families, we don't feed them breakfast. We usually give them something to take with them, but there's no a meal. They're gone by 7 o'clock. And so it's really not that long. If you are spending the night there, you really go from 7 to 7. So it's a 12-hour commitment.
So not even a full day.
It's not even a full day. It's not even a full night. Well, I guess it is a full night. We also have, Compassion Coalition. We are, we're working with them to learn how to best deal with folks that come to us. Their viewpoint is that we want to make sure that we're not just being the Band-Aid, that we're trying to do a little bit more. Justice Knox is something, of course, we've got Nehemiah Action. We always need people to go to that because that is where the folks in Justice Knox actually invite the law enforcement, they invite the mayor, they invite people, city folks, and say, okay, here's what we think would be a good idea. And Justice Knox will actually work with those groups to help get some of these things in place. that is even coming to the Nehemiah Action, which is like one night out of the year. What that does is let the folks know that there is some support behind what's being said. We work with Love Kitchen. We work with Tyson House. There's several things that people can do depending on what you like to do. And we'll try very hard to put a little blurb so people can decide a blurb, can decide yes or no, that's something I want to do or not do. We can always use help with anything. Care cuts. We serve them lunch once a month, but on a regular basis, we serve them, we do the eggs, twice a month now? It used to be every week, but it's now cut to twice a month. But they need people that just want to fold clothes. People that donate clothes just fold. I mean, you don't have to. If you're shy about interacting with folks, then you don't have to. You can kind of go and do your thing. So, I would be happy to talk to anybody that wants to be part of any of our ministries. And those are the kind of the ones that I can think off the top of my head, and I may be missing some more. But yeah, we've got plenty of ways that we can get folks involved if they're interested.
Absolutely. So, Connie, before we wrap up, I'd like to ask one last question. When you imagine Messiah becoming an even more deeply serving congregation, what do you hope that looks like? What does that look like to you?
I guess the thing that we've said this before many times, that this is a building. Our ministry needs to be outside the building. Yes, we come in here to be nurtured. We come in here to fellowship with one another. But our ministry, what I would like to see is our ministry moving out into maybe start with the neighborhood and then look and see what we can do. Invite people, here's what we're doing. Come join us. We'd love to see you here. We had that conversation. I don't think a lot of people know what our church is all about. And we're in a really popular location.
Great location.
I can't tell you how many times I have had to explain where our church is located. And I go, well, it's across the street from P.F. Chang's, and everybody knows P.F. Chang's. So
I'll say on Bearden Hill, and they'll say where, and I'll say across the street from P.F. Chang's, and I get, oh, the pyramid.
Yeah.
One of the things I've heard today in your story, Connie, is that service doesn't start with believing that we can save the world. It starts with believing that God already loves the world. God is already present, and God is already at work. And then in our homes, in our congregation, our workplaces, in the community, we're invited to notice our neighbors, to draw near them, and to offer what we have. And none of those things may feel extraordinary by themselves, but love doesn't wait for extraordinary. It starts by just showing up. Thank you for the ways that you show up, Connie, and for helping Messiah discover how we're being called to serve.
And thank you to everyone who's joined us at the table. We'll see you next time.
It's kind of creepy. Isn't it?